Okay, good morning to everyone. Welcome to this quite special lecture. We gained experience by studying the linear motion, both uniform with constant velocity and with acceleration. Today we will start this activity, which is aimed to apply our knowledge to produce a simulation showing two vehicles running on a racetrack. So a sort of race between two vehicles. We will do it by using a special software, a code generator, which is called EJS, Easy Java Simulations, which produces a simulation that helps us to code the algorithm without a deep knowledge in the Java programming language. Our aim is this one. We aim to realize a sort of movie, an animation, showing this is a rectangle representing one vehicle, which is moving at a certain speed with a certain law of motion. And we must give information to the machine, to the computer, in order to do the computations and show us the result. What do we need? Well, we have something, we will deal with a vehicle or two if we are planning to simulate a race, a path along which the vehicles will move, which is a racetrack, some way to individuate, to place our vehicles, so we need a reference frame and a system of coordinates, typically a Cartesian system of coordinates, and the kinematic laws which rules the phenomenon. Okay. This is namely what I'm meaning. We have here our vehicle A within a Cartesian coordinate system. One coordinate gives the position of A, then we need its velocity and its acceleration, right? This is where the physics comes in. We need a rule, a law that gives us the position of the vehicle at a given time. And this law, which is represented down here, is the kinematic law of uniformly accelerated motion. As you will, I'm sure you will know this law. We have discussed it so far quite deeply. Okay? Pay attention that within a coding language, for example, Java, different quantities are indicated by strings, by symbols, which include letters and numbers. Here, for example, you have XA is the position of the vehicle A, YA is the position of vehicle A, and so on. Okay? And one of the crucial quantities is time, and the interval of time which lasts from one frame to the other. This is called the time step. Why is it so? Well, if you remember when you go to the cinema and you see a movie, what you actually are seeing is a sequence of static images, a sequence of photographs, of pictures. But your eye is unable to realize that because the rate of change of the images is so fast, then our eye is unable to catch the fact that the images are static, but they change very quickly. And this is the idea behind the cinema, the movie making. The simulation will produce frames, images, and it changes the images so quickly that we perceive a smooth motion as it occurs as when you go to the cinema and you see a movie. The amount of time, the time lapse, or if you say the time step from one frame to the other must be so small that we don't perceive it, that we get a smooth motion. So the simulation will produce several frames or images, as you will see down in this picture. And you see this red ball which is in this frame at time t is a given position, and in a later frame at time t plus dt is slightly moved forward. And if the time interval from one frame to the other is so small, then we will see something moving smoothly. So what the simulation does is this. It produces images according to our prescriptions, and then it updates the images so quickly that we perceive a smooth, continuous motion. In a way, we will generate a cartoon by using the coding of in Java, okay? So we will have a sequence of frames, and we will improve or we'll update the time going from time t to time t plus dt. This statement is written in computer language notation, which is this rightward arrow means you compute t plus dt, and you give it and you place it in the memory area called t. So the new update of the time is time plus the time step or time lapse. Okay, but you will see in the next activity when we move to the lab and we will run this physically on the computer. The statement, the Java statement that does this is written here on the yellow background. Okay? Pay attention to the meaning of the symbols. If you take this from a mathematical point of view, if I write this on the blackboard, whatever t is, you must conclude that dt is 0, because if t is equal to t plus dt, this means that dt is 0. Okay, from the formal mathematical point of view. But this, in computer language, has a different meaning. It doesn't mean that this, what is on the left of the equal, is exactly the same of what is on the right of the equal. This equal is the translation in computer language of this arrow. This means, I repeat, take the actual value of time, increase it by the amount of dt, and then the result will be assigned, will be called t. You take the old t, compute the new t, so you update the time. Okay? Because this equal sign might be misleading. Okay? The equals in a computer science language is not the same that you have in mathematics. So this may cause some problem. Right. Our key relation is the following. This is what rules the motion of our vehicles. We have the new position and the old position, xa, augmented by the initial velocity plus the amount of time plus 1/2 or 0.5, the acceleration and the time lapse at the second power. Okay, this is the kinematic law. This is where the physics comes in. Okay, but in fact, when we will code the simulation. I will suggest you to use a simpler form of this, but this is basically the idea. We are able to do this just because the fact that we have at our disposition some automatic computation tools, which are called computers. Okay, computer science is the science that deals with dealing information, acquiring information, elaborating information, and returns to the user an output. What is information? Information is everything that we may interpret, everything that has a meaning for us. It may be an image, a sound, a music, or a text, whatever, a symbol, an equation, a poem, whatever. no matter what we are dealing with, if it has some meaning, this is known as information. Okay? To deal information, to elaborate information, we need algorithms. If you want, algorithm is the generalization of the concept of formula. In formula, we have some kind of elaboration, just mathematical elaboration, sums, subtractions, products, ratio, powers, square roots, and so on. But algorithm may contain something which is not numerical. If, for example, you have a list of names and you may want to put it in alphabetic number, that operation requires algorithms that are not numerical. They have something to do with alphabetic order. Okay? There's no mathematical computation in there. Although the computer does only mathematical computation. So it must be coded in a certain way. Okay? No matter how complex an algorithm might be, it may be run or executed by a computer under two conditions. It must be composed of a finite number of steps, and each step must be unambiguous. For example, if you have the following problem, I must buy a present for my sister's birthday. This is not an algorithm that a computer may may perform, because it is subjective. If I am to buy a present for my sister, I will make some decision that another person won't make. So it is not unambiguous. We may instruct machines to perform or to apply algorithms just if they are unambiguous. So their execution does not depend on who is running the algorithm. Okay? And in order to do that, we need to communicate with the computer. So we need a language. And each programming language is a language in its own right. It has its rule, its syntax, its coding, prescriptions, and so on. It's like to learn a language, nothing more. If you don't know that language, you can't communicate with the computer, so you can't give him orders. This is a key point. We are lucky that this theorem holds. This is the basic theorem in all computer science. No matter how complex an algorithm may be, each algorithm may be coded by using three very simple structures: sequence, selection, and repetition. By the using of these tools, you may build whatever algorithm you want. No problem. It may take minutes, hours, years, but you will be successful. Now we'll go deeper in the structure of the elementary structures. The sequence is very simple. It's one statement after another in a given order. For example, if you have to sum, so to say, the first three integer numbers, you say take one, add another one, add another one. 3 steps in sequence. One statement after another. No problem. Very simple. Okay? The second structure is the selection. I make an example. If you wake up in the morning and you watch out of the window and to check the weather. If it is raining, this is a condition, then you take an umbrella with you. If it is not raining, you will get out without taking the umbrella with you. This is the selection. According to a given condition, a test, if it turns out that there's a positive answer, then you do something which will go to this statement. If the answer is no, which is condition is false, then you will go to the other statement. okay, selection, or repetition. You repeat the same, a given block of statement for a pre-decided number of times, a sort of loop, so to say. You run through this set of statements as many times as you need. This is the three main structures. This is another set. In order to code, to produce our cartoon, to produce our simulation, we will use this software, Easy Java Simulation, which was written and produced and invented by what I would think is a real genius in teaching, in the teaching science. It is Francisco Esquembre, and he is teacher in the University of Murcia in Spain. It is a very nice person, very clever. He helped me very much in sort of situations. And I get support also from Wolfgang Christian, which is working in the States on the same project. This is the page of download, as you will see more in detail when we will go to the lab. This is the version of Java we have downloaded and is present in our laboratory. And this is once you unzip the file, you will have a directly on your desktop, and just via double click, you will run the EJS in Windows operating system or in Mac OS operating system. If you run it in Linux, you have to type this command. Okay. This is how the EJS working area shows up. You will have a main area with three different steps: description, model, and view. Description introduces you the simulation, presents the simulation. In model, we have the computation, the mathematical computation, the numbers, the elaboration from the mathematical point of view. And in view, we have the graphics, the part of the programming code that shows us the results and produces the animation. Okay? So next time, we'll go to the lab and we'll start producing the simulation. Pay attention that the programming, writing a code is something very, very delicate. If you type a comma instead of a semicolon, then the code will not work. And you have here in the output area the message, there is one mistake, something went wrong. Okay? And this is the easiest mistakes, because if you type something which is not correct, the computer will alert you. There's a deeper kind of error when you code something which is not what we want to do. In that case, the coding errors are much, much harder to find. Those are detectable only by experience. Well, I think this is all. If you have any question, you are welcome to ask. No problem. So we will meet next time in the lab. Okay, thank you for your attention. Have a nice time.